Hi, good afternoon, my beautiful brothers and sisters. Happy Friday. Today's topic, I picked Iran. Yes, Iran. Not that I ran, but Iran. And the Iranians. And why I picked that, it's almost like a recap that I'm going to do with you that I did when I wrote a vision, when I did the 4 faces of evil, when I did the 4 gardens of Edens, the 4 gardens of Gods. Why is that important? Because it is. When I did a little bit of research about analogy, right? And I had wrote down, I think it showed me some samples of analogy, right? And enigma, what it mean. I wanted to go further in it to see what it meant. And I'm glad because it gave me a revelation. So in the midst that I had went over pretty much a lot of times, why I read that to you is so you could understand that there's more to the Bible than what we're just reading. So if we're just reading it, we're doing the same thing that our ancestors have done, or that they decided they just taught man, or this, and that. And we think, right? We think that that's what we were taught. No, wrong. That's why she asked to go in there and study. One word could make a huge difference in this, right? So some of the examples of analogy that I had wrote down, and I believe I had read it. Believe it or not, I think I read it maybe twice to you. And when I was going through my notes yesterday, I read it again, and then I said, what? But let me tell you what, right? What is an example of analogy, right? It says, she's blind as a bat. Because a bat can't see, so you can't see. And this refers to the Bible, just so you'll know, right? And it says, you have to be busy as a bee to get good grades in high school. So basically, you have to study, right? Like in school you did. You were studying, you were doing that. For you to get the analogy, you have to do study, right? Then the last one that's saying, finding a last dog will be like finding a needle in a haystack. And we all know because the husbands went astray, right? And then it talks about the company of 2 objects or an idea, a common practice, right? In English language, useful in writing and literature, as it is, kind of like a figure of speech, metaphors. Now I'm going to go into enigma, right? It said, if you describe something or someone as an enigma, right? You mean that they are mysterious or difficult to understand, right? And it had it just like this when I wrote it down. It said, Iran, right? I wrote it together. Iran, just like that. right here. Just like that, I wrote it. Iran remains an enigma for the outside world. A stony, which means clear, modern enigma, spiritual, right? Mysteries, problem puzzle, a riddle, more symphonies of enigma, right? So I said, whoa, because I always put away, and then whenever I go back to my books that I have here, real quick, this is like one book. I have 2 right down here, and I write down and I keep them. So if I'm going to preach something that I want you to understand, I write. I go over the enigma meaning so you could comprehend in what message is really saying in there opposed to the way we were reading it, right? So with that being said, I went to go look. And I said, well, Iran, right? Bible meaning. What does it mean? I put Iran Bible meaning. Whoa, it gave me a beautiful revelation. Stuff that I have gone over with you, but it went in more deep into what this is about. And really, it's what's going down in history. Bible prophecy right now, brothers and sisters. Right now, this is exactly what is going on. So I'm going to read to you a couple of information that I got. And then I'll back it up with Bible verses, of course, So I'm going to read. So it says, what does the role of Iran play in the end times, right? And it said there are several of biblical prophecies of the end times mentioned in Iran, called Persia or Elm, Elam. And it says, what is the name of Iran in the Bible? Remember the 4 gardens of Eden? That is the 4 daughters that got pushed out, and then the man went in. These are the men that are called the agents, the extraterrestrials. This is people that their soul left a long time ago, and they're serving other gods, the ones that they call. And the maker, just so you'll know, the maker made them. The maker made the stars. That's what she made. She made the stars. And that is in, if you read it really slowly, in Genesis 1 and 2. She made everything. Everything. It was our maker, Mother God. However, she didn't, she made it all, right? But the daughters got pushed out, so the man went into the gardens of Eden. And this is where we're at, right? We got the ungodly people fighting God's people. What are they fighting for? Territory. What are they fighting for? There's more. There's more. And there's an answer to that. Now, and it's also backed up in Bible verses. Amazing revelation. It says, these are the several biblical prophecies of the end times that is mentioned in Iran, called Persia or Elm. It says the name of Iran in Bible Persia is mentioned in the Bible, the name of the Bible. It says 29 times. Persia changed the name to Iran in March of 1935. Whenever you read about Persia in the scriptures, you are reading about the land of modern-day Iran. One of the Bible's most fascinating prophecy, Persia, King of Cyrus of Persia, to be exact. What does Iran stand for? Is it Islamic? What is it called? They're Salmonics, I guess. Al-Salmonic, Republic of Iran, which they say Islamic is also Republic of Iran, a dangerous reign, right? What does Persia mean to the Bible, right? The Bible name in the meaning for the name of Persia, it cuts and divides a nail of Graphon, a horseman. They're known for the horseman, right? And just real quick so you'll know. Let me do one thing at a time. Let me finish explaining what it means, and then we'll go exactly to the 4 faces, right? Here we go. It says it cuts, it divides a nail of Graphon, a horseman. So the horses, they're known for horses, right? Remember that. What is Iran was called in the ancient time? What were they called before? They were Persians. It was Persia. That's what it was called before. Ancient Iran, historically known as Persia, has known to dominate the nations of the Western Asia. For over 12 centuries, 3 successive native dynasty, it says, and the Achaemenid of Parathon, which is Caesarian, controlling the empire of unprecedented size of complicity, right? Persia are the agent. They're the agent ones. They're the ones that, E.T., but E.T.'s too cute compared to what they really look like if you were really to know. So, and what is Persia? What is Iran word? It says, what is the Iran word for God? And they call it Koda. That's who they serve. That's who they call that their God. And it's K as in Kelly, H as in Henry, O as in Oscar, D as in David, and A as in Albert. That is called the Koda Persian, the Persian word for God. That is who they serve. Why is Persian now called Iran? Iran in the Bible is the forgotten story. For centuries, Iran was known as Persia, the greatest empire of the world ever seen. The part of her story is often forgotten. And do you see how it says her story? It was her story. But you got to remember, it was a forgotten story because the daughters were forgotten. They wanted to forget the daughters. So the man, you get the agent from the old that have taken over, pushed the maker out of the way, and they sat there, made themselves God. And they were just in a whole different atmosphere that is out of this world, literally. Right? So it says, Persia, Iran, the Bible, in the Web Bible Encyclopedia, you know. Political Persians is modern times come, to be known as Iran, to be controlled by Shia and Asmalist, right? Exceptional, poor and brutal human rights record, you know. We're talking slave drivers, you know. It's kind of like we got sent out of Egypt, right? We were free, but Egypt never came out of us. And we've been so long in captivity, we were the forgotten stories. God's children were the forgotten story. Your story was forgotten. Our ancestors' stories was pushed out of the holy mountain, the 4 gardens of Edens, right? So she's coming back to put her daughters back on the throne, rightfully what was theirs to begin with. Okay, so what are they going to do? Not only to the daughters, they're going to cause a division, okay? Because she woke us up and she's saying, read the Bible, get in there and go preach deliverance and go preach liberty. And she said, not just to my children, but also to this world, because it had a huge ending, a Bible prophecy. The ending and what message you deliver. Are you going to believe the people of the world, or are you going to believe people that you think are nobody because they're not what it looked like? We're not wearing Rolexes. We're not wearing what you think. Why do you think that? Because we were the forgotten children that were out here lost. And that is what she's bringing us back to, our inheritance, to our birthrights, to our land flowing with milk and honey that was taken from the very beginning of the end times. Now, the outcome of the message and what you want to listen to, and why I back it up with Bible verses and why I back it up with research, is to let you know how serious this really is. When you're rejecting the 10 commandments of the Maker, you're rejecting her mercy. You're saying no. So then the 4 horsemen in Iran come after you. And I have Bible verses to back it up. How Iran biblical history holds significance today. And it says, really, how Iran biblical stories history holds significance today. God used the Persians. Are you listening? God used the Persians as his agents to return his people to the promised land so that Jesus, the Messiah, could be born there. Sadly, when Islam. Now, what does that tell you? The Bible was written how many years ago? Centuries, and the Messiah hasn't been born yet. The daughters that going to birth the kings, the new generation, the new millennium that is coming, we're on our way to the promised land, and that is where the Messiah is going to be born. That hasn't happened yet. So the person that we're calling Jesus, Lord is great, that hasn't happened yet. This Bible was written so many years ago, but the one that they made for you to worship is the one that it's already. We haven't made it into the promised land. However, I speak victory. We're already there because of who our creator is. We've been moving, and she's moving us, and she's using, what did I tell you guys? Moving our enemies and put the smith in there. Those are the slave drivers. And the only thing that keeps you in captivity and to owe them is by you. It's by you sinning. When you sin, you stay. And this doesn't apply just to her children. This is to the whole world. And then she lets loose the horsemen. That's what they're known for. And it's in the Bible. Now, how Iran biblical history holds significance for today. God used the Persian and his agents to return the people to the promised land so that Jesus, the Messiah, could be born. Sadly, when Islam, and then that finished there. I opened it up and it wouldn't let me open up further in it. But it says, Iran, the biblical, the forgotten story, the forgotten children, the forgotten lost children that were lost and alone out here. She said, you will no longer be lost and alone. I'm bringing you home. But in the journey, hell is fighting for your soul, not just for you, but for this world as well. Now, it says, Iran, the biblical Persian, is the land of Esther and Daniel, the nation rise of God and by God under King Cyrus, delivered the Jewish people from the Babylons, right? It says, what can it be that Russia and Iran and Turkey together? It says you won't find the name Russia anywhere in the Bible. It means political movement. That's what it means. Political movement in Russia that post that Russian civilization. Do you get it? You know, all this is people here all over fighting for a land that does not belong to them. And why are they fighting so hard for them? Besides that, you know, our birthrights and everything they have stolen is being returned. But there's more to it. And there's an answer for that as well. It says you will not find the name Russia anywhere in the Bible because it means political movement. In Russia, the post, the Russians, the civilization, 1935, Reza Shah, and I'm not too good in the names, so I don't speak Russian, but hallelujah. All I could do is try to preach, brothers and sisters. So it says in 1935, Reza Shah and Pahlavi, you know, requested foreigners' diligence to use term Iran instead of Persia to conscience in reference to the ancient ancestries of the Iranis. You know, when and why Persia's name was Iran. Why? The suggestion of the changed name is this have come from the Iranians, the ambassador to Germany, who came under the influence of the Nazi. You know? Let me see. Isn't that amazing? That's why. Iran Chamber Society. When Persia became Iran Chamber Society, Iran is called Persia. And it's this etymology of Persia that Pars tribe gave the name of the region that they lived. The modern day province is called Fars. It says the times of smaller, it is current area, land. The name of the whole empire was Persia. The Iran is new and the Iran is an Iran Shah, you know. It says to change the name to Persia, Iran. In 1930, the steps began to be taken away from Reza Shah. It says the formalized the change of the name of Persia is Iran to request to come to the force in March in 1935, right? It says what role Iran plays in the end times. Why is it important, brothers and sisters? Why? Iran pronounces and it says Iran. Iran, you know, formerly known as Persia, situated by the crossroads, Central Asia, South Asia. Arab states is the Middle East strategic position. It access to Persian Gulf of the South. It made Iran important country throughout. The Iran country profile of the National Geographic. Sorry if I said that right. Now, work with me. I have a little bit of an accent. There, a several biblical prophecy of the end times mentioned in Iran is called Persia or Elam. Who's Elam? That's in the Bible as well. It says in the Bible, and it's called Elam, which are the owns from the agents, Noah's tribe. And I have Bible verses to back it up. But I'm going to read you the information. I'm going to go back to the information that I went through you to help you understand why it is a big Bible prophecy. Why is it so important right now? Why, brothers and sisters? It is. Now listen. Now there are several biblical prophecies of the end times. It's mentioned in Iran called Persia and Elam, E-L-A-M. It is Bible given into the fact of Iran. Who it was the Persians in the Bible is the Cyrus the Great, the founder of Echedem Empire, the king of Persia, from 559 to 530 BC. He is venerated in Hebrew Bible as Cyrus, the Messiah, for conquering Babylon and liberating the Jews from captivity. Right? We didn't know that, right? Isn't that? It's almost like the stories of the people that did help out. It's almost not given acknowledged. So if you read the Bible, you know, I try to even research his info and coming across doing Bible studies is where you see it. But almost they try to have you puzzle it, where it's around So you don't know the good things, that there was some people. It wasn't everything, because there's more of us than there is of them. But understand, they turn us, they cause division between all of us. So you're not listening, even in this world, and saying, well, hey, she's not qualified, she's not sitting there. But yet, the ones that are qualified, that they have wisdom, they don't know. If they would have known the truth, they would be preaching. Or two, they decide to keep quiet. And that is wrong. That is so wrong. A title means nothing if you're not doing nothing with it. You know? Cyrus the Great is the founder of the Achaemenid, the empire of the king Persia, in 559-530 BC. Venerated for Hebrew, Bible, and Cyrus of Messiah was conquering Babylon, liberating the Jews from captivity. It says, who's the Persian in the Bibles? And then, hold on, let me see. Okay. It just copied it twice, so I'm not going to repeat it. So then, guess what Iran stands for? IRAN. It blew my mind. And this is like, I'm going to copy paste this information that I got. The great Satan, Persians. And it says it just like that. And it even has it in their writing, but I don't know how to write Islamic. Now it says, what did Iran call the U.S.? Oh, he said, what did Iran? My bad. It's backwards. What did Iran call the U.S.? The great Satan, Persians. Shatanai, Bozang, demonizing the ethic of United States of America in Iran, former policy statements. Why do you think? You know, based on the information that I have gone through with you in Bible verses, because God gave Satan dominion over the world. Because why? The sins. And they pushed. It started from the very beginning, even from Genesis all the way down, as she got forgotten. We didn't even know. I didn't even know. You know, it was the traditions of our fathers. So how would we know something when they were killing our ancestors from the very beginning? So they keep it hush hush, and the men exalted themselves. So that's why in the Bible you see more men, unless you really read it and get to know. And what made it a little bit confusing is because you see how it has like daughter Zion, Israel, and they're known. You know, it's kind of like names. So I asked her, I prayed, and I said, help me. I see it, but help me so I could preach it. And ask, you should receive. And that's when she gave me the revelation that Israel's a daughter. And she's in Amos 5. It says, hey, fallen daughter, that Jacob stole her name. So if you really study, it's in there, but that's the enigma. That's the whole thing, that they almost twisted it, put a little bit of the creature and a little bit of the creator in there. Unless you're really studying, it's almost impossible for you to penetrate the truth. But there is. I know now, even if I read it, she wouldn't have let it happen if it wasn't for us to figure it out, you know? So it says, Persians is the girl's name that a biblical origin. It cuts and it divides. It was also known in the Middle Eastern, the country known as Iran. So they call United States Satan, and then it has another name for the name of the Persians. Now, that's where the truth is coming out, and I'm so happy. It says, what is Persia? What is Persia conquer? Who did Persia conquered in the Bible? And it says Babylon. Believe it or not, God has the enemy turn against each other. And at the end, we all get the victory. Everything, it's her controlling everything. Who did Persia conquer in the Bible? Babylon. Judea was subject to Protovans in Persian Empire from 530 to 334 BC. When Persia overthrew Babylon, the Jews in Babylon captivity saw Persians in liberations, right? Now, where was Persia located? And it says, Persia was a historic region in southeastern Asia associated with the area that is now modern Iran. The term Persia is used centuries to originate from region from southern Iran, formerly known as Paris, attentively in this is Persia, modern Aphoras. Now, it says, where did Iran originated from? Iran was a stem that was early in Proto-Iranis. Themselves was a branch of Indo-Iranis, and they believed to originate the either Central Asia or Afghanistan in circa in 1800 BC. The Protons trace back to Bactria, archaeology complex, the Bronze Age, the culture of Central Asia. Now, who is the Persians' Iran, right? And it's called Riza Shah Pahlavi. In the mid-1930s, the ruler of the country, Reza Shah Pahlavi, moved towards the formalists in the name of Iran instead of Persia for all purpose, right? Who is the main god in Persia people? And it says, in the main of the god agent Persia is Ahura Mazda, and agent Serotyne is a religion. That's what they call, that's who they serve. You know, the creator of the universe. That's what they want to call it. Do you see almost like they push God? You know, everything was them. They did it. They did everything. So in their god that they call, it is an ancient Persian religion that may be originated early 4,000 years ago. Arguably the words of the monotheistic faith, which is the oldest religion that still exists. Referring to the Persians is sometimes expressed a desire to look at the segment of history. The ancient empires, for instance, they make them proud, who is an example of identifying more readily Cyrus and the great them that figures complementary culture. They must be read. And then it says, by referring themselves to Persian, right? It expresses the desires to look at the sigma of history of the empire's instance. There are proud examples identifying the more readily of Cyrus the Great. It figures a complementary culture, which is unique to Iran. Iran Islamic country is Shia, also known as Shiite Muslim, to make up the majority of Iran and the biggest gas to receive the world. 24 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Iran considers only to be the home that is critical in danger, right? It says a static cheetah, right? Why is Iran not Persia? In 1939, it says the Iran government requested the countries, which is diplomatic relations of the call Persia, Iran, which is named country of Persians. The suggestion changed, so it had made the Iranis the ambassador, the Germany, who is under the influence of the Nazis. Remember, we read that. Iran is ranked 17 out of 145 countries considered the annual global. The Firepower Review. The nation holds power index score, and then it has 02712, the score, or 000 being considered exceptional, a GFP assessments to the active members, right? And then guess what? Who is the petroleum? Petroleum, that's what it is. You get it? What it is, it's money, it's status, it's everything that they have stolen from the very beginning to end time. So they're sitting here fighting. Do you see? So do you think that this world means anything to, do you think as yourself, God's children, and this world mean anything to them? No. This is what they're battling for over and over again. It's gas, it's oil, you know, it's land, it's gold, it's silver. Brothers and sisters, stolen inheritance is what they're fighting for. And what did they do? Turn each other against each other. And the only way to sit there is for you to listen to the messengers and what sets you free, because she's parting the sea and she's using the 4 horsemen to come against you. My video is going to finish, so I'm going to do part 2, but I'm going to praise all this information and go over more and then back it up with Bible verses. This is just a little bit of history of Iran and then back it up with the Bible verses. So when I read again this Bible verses, you'll understand what it means when she sends the 4 horses or the 10 commandments. It's either them and they know it. So then she sends Iran. The four horsemen, that's what they come. The pestilence, destructions, death, and phantom, or the Ten Commandments, And that's why it's so important that you listen to the message, because it saves you, it saves your family, it saves your nation. It saves you. Take down any altars, any pagan world, anything, no sin, and it saves you, and she heals your land. She heals your nation. And she does, if she wants a relationship